With some of the stories that we've been sharing lately in relation to California, especially a prison there called Mule Creek Prison, and their conjugal visits, and the fact that 2 women lost their lives within a year, both during conjugal visits, it brought up an interesting question and rabbit hole for us to go down here today, and that is, what exactly is a conjugal visit? Where is it allowed at? Why is it not allowed in most other places? And all the things in relation to conjugal visits in prison. For me, a guy who served quite a bit of time in and out of prison and incarceration for a good majority of my life, if you were to ask me what a conjugal visit is, the only answer that I could give to you, at least the simplest one, would be it's a visit where you get to have sex during that prison visit with your girl, not with your cellmate. 2 totally different situations right there. Yeah, when I think of a conjugal visit, the first thing that comes to my mind is sex. Sexy time. God, that probably sounds so cringe. Forgive me for it. But I know that there's got to be more to it. What states still allow conjugal visits? Why do some states allow it and most all of the others don't? Folks, today we're going to talk about all of these things. So with that being mentioned, what do you say? For old time's sake, we do something that we haven't done in a long time. Let's go ahead and dust the dust off of the sleeves here and dive. Could have been a lot more theatrical with that. Head first up into this video. Joe, what are you doing? You damn sure should have went a little harder in the paint with that dive. Forgive me, I have been on my Philip DeFranco type of news reporting here lately, and it's felt right. Just got to be honest, it's felt right. I asked ChatGPT, what is a conjugal prison visit? The response that it gave to me says this. A conjugal prison visit, often referred to as an extended family visit, I had no idea, is a private visitation period where an inmate is allowed to spend time with their legal spouse or in some cases, other close family members. That's also an interesting point that I knew about. Like if you were going to have a conjugal visit, it could not just be with your girlfriend. You had to be married. And, you know, you oftentimes hear of people getting married in prison just so that they could get those conjugal visits. These visits typically take place in designated on-site units or trailers within the prison facility and can last anywhere from a few hours to a couple of days. Could you imagine having a conjugal visit that lasts for a couple of days with your mom? That's just got to be weird, right? To a certain degree, after like the first day or so, you'd probably be like, guards, get me up out of here and put me back in the prison. I'm tired of arguing with her. No? Nobody else, just me? Well, you know, every family's different. Purpose of conjugal visits. This is pretty interesting right here. To maintain family bonds, that makes sense. They allow inmates to strengthen relationships with their spouse and, in some cases, children or immediate family members. But what if this, though, and forgive me, I love to play devil's advocate. What if a prisoner was able to use a conjugal visit as a scam? An intricate plot. Oh, well, actually, it wouldn't work. Never mind. I was going to say, you know, you could get you a girl, a pen pal that would turn into a girlfriend that you would then marry, concoct this plan with her that she would come to the conjugal visit. She would be impregnated by said prisoner during this for the sole purpose of state-issued child support, which I don't know that that's actually a thing. Does a woman get child support if the father is not paying it? Like, is it the taxpayer's burden? I don't believe that it is. Maybe it is. Welfare, food stamps. I know that there's those sort of things. But what if you used it as a hustle? Yeah, girl. Hey, whoo. Hey, we gonna be set for life. I mean, yeah, you know I'm doing life, so you ain't even gotta worry about it. I ain't gotta worry about it. You gonna have my baby, my seed. We gonna have us a little king together. Lil Dookie Stain. Literally. I don't think that plan would actually work. Other purposes of conjugal visits, encourage good behavior. Yeah, tell that to the 2 women who were murdered during conjugal visits at Mule Creek Penitentiary in California in less than a year. Same prison, same type of visit. 2 prisoners, pretty much the same. Both didn't really at all deserve to have conjugal visits, and they proved that. encourage good behavior. It didn't work in their 2 cases, unfortunately. Many programs require inmates to have a good disciplinary record to qualify for these visits. Aid rehabilitation and reduce recidivism. You get a conjugal visit, look, you're going to be reminded of what you're missing. Not that you ain't going to be reminded of that every single day that you're serving time. You're going to be without the women, without the gina, without the steak, without, the everyday luxuries of free life that so many, myself included, could often take for granted. Supporters argue that maintaining close family ties can help with reintegration into society after release. Restrictions and eligibility. Not all inmates qualify. Those convicted of violent crimes, sexual offenses, or life sentences without parole are often ineligible, but not in California. We're going to get to what states actually allow conjugal visits and some really interesting information about those particular states. Yeah, it says not all inmates qualify. Those convicted of violent crimes or life sentences without parole are often ineligible. Well, I hate to keep, beating this dead horse, no pun intended. But over there in California, both of the dudes who took lives during conjugal visits were violent offenders, and both had life sentences, probably without parole. The visits usually take place in a special housing unit within the prison, which provides some level of privacy. Sorry, I just had to make sure that I was filming. That's actually become a major fear of mine, that I'll be filming these videos and never hit record. The visits usually take place in special housing units within the prison, which provide some level of privacy. It sounds like a really sweet deal. If you're somewhere that allows conjugal visits, why wouldn't you do everything in your power to be able to get those? And it kind of makes sense to me as a tactic to lessen trouble inside of the prisons, possibly even violence. Keep prisoners out of trouble and wanting to stay out of trouble and stay on the right track by offering the incentive of a conjugal visit. Security screenings are required for visitors, and strict rules govern conduct and allowable items during the visit. That's interesting that they say strict rules govern conduct. I wonder if sex is not allowed during a conjugal visit. Look, you can spend 3 days together in this apartment style dwelling up inside of the prison, but you can't, no boom boom. There's no boom boom room in here. No pound town taking place, which is guaranteed to be happening. Many states in the U.S. have abolished conjugal visits, citing security risk, cost. That's something to think about. How much does a conjugal visit cost? If you've already got the apartment-style dwelling set up inside of the prison, I don't see any additional cost really being equated to that. Do you have to have a guard who's getting some extra pay for standing duty outside of this? Let's talk about the food. You've got an outside visitor staying with you for upwards of 40 hours. Keep in mind, that's 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, if you were going to talk about it in work terms. Some places allow 30 to 40 hour conjugal visits. That's like 2.5 days. What are y'all eating during that? Is there room service? Do you get to make a phone call? Hey, yo, I'm hungry. Bring me up some crab legs. What do you eat? Many states in the U.S. have abolished conjugal visits, citing security risk, cost, and ethical concerns. Currently, only California, Connecticut, New York, and Washington State still allow them under special conditions. Folks, there are only 4 states in the entire country that still allow conjugal visits. We just read what those states were here: California, Connecticut, New York, and Washington State. I'm pretty sure, and I hate to make this anything political, but I just want to mention this. I'm pretty sure that all 4 of those states are blue states, Democratic states. Does that at all play into this? How come there's not a red state, Texas or Florida, allowing conjugal visits? When I think about it, it's because, are you effing kidding me? Like, what? Blue states and Democratic parties are supposed to be more lenient toward people incarcerated, right? I mean, that's the general synopsis that you oftentimes hear, whether you agree with it or not. Why do these particular states still allow conjugal visits? That information we're not going to learn here, but I posed that to you to spark a little engagement and debate. If you know better, let me know. Why do these states allow these, or why do you think that it's only these 4 states? Joe, because they're blue states. I mean, yeah, we've already said that, but there's got to be more to it. Are there kickbacks? Is it money driven some kind of a way? Your loved ones have to pay to play, literally. I don't know. These are just hypothetical things that I'm posing here. I asked ChatGPT to go more in depth about each of these 4 states and what their conjugal visits are and what the requirements are for them. They start with California. The California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, the CDCR, facilitates family visits for eligible inmates. Key aspects include duration and frequency. Qualified inmates may have up to 4 visits per year. That's like a freaking holiday pack. Being able to order you some specialized commissary items 4 times a year. That's the only thing in the state of Virginia that you was getting as a perk. Now, don't get me wrong. There is an urban legend. I don't even want to say an urban legend because this is just a story that I heard from the old timers when I was serving time because they had been down for so long. But they shared with me that back during the 90s in the state of Virginia, they used to have family day in prison. Imagine being at a level 1 prison, and at these facilities, they didn't even have gates around them. You wasn't going to run from here. Because of how sweet that it was. You was eating good. You was having family day. Your family was able to come see you. It might not necessarily be a conjugal, but best believe during family day, hey, cheeks was getting clapped out there on that ball field. And I'm not talking about your cellmate. I know that's the second time that I've brought that up. Crazy to think, though. Yeah, man, so that's like the most that I had ever heard about. Never heard about Virginia offering conjugal visits. Matter of fact, I just got to Google it. Did the state of Virginia ever have conjugal prison visits? No. The state of Virginia has never had a program for conjugal visits, and it is unlikely that they will be implemented in the future. And they actually break down this quite a bit, talking about here's why. Limited state programs, federal prison bans. Damn, the federal prison system doesn't allow conjugal visits neither. Focusing on punishment, security and cost, and then Virginia's focus, which says Virginia's Department of Corrections officials are planning to test a number of prison reforms, but conjugal visits are not part of those plans. Getting back to California, it says qualified inmates may have up to 4 visits per year, each lasting up to 40 hours depending on facility availability. Eligibility. Inmates must demonstrate good behavior. Those on death row serving life sentences without parole or convicted of sex offenses are not eligible. Participants. Visitors can include immediate family members such as spouses, registered domestic partners. Damn, you ain't even got to have a wife in California. They just got to have that concealed carry. Talking about a registered domestic partner. What does that even mean? Yo, we ain't married, but on paper though, hey, it's official. I got my LLC. We are a registered domestic partnership. Man, California, y'all is weird. Never heard of it. Joe, it's everywhere, but you're the anomaly. Siblings, children, and parents are other people who can come. Accommodations. Visits occur in on-site apartments equipped with essentials like toiletries, linens, and condoms. Whoa. So they really don't care, and they know what's going down. In California, regulations. Visitors undergo security screenings, and both visitors and inmates must adhere to strict conduct and dress codes. Why does the dress code matter when you're going to be naked the entire time that you're in there? Moving on to Connecticut, Connecticut's Department of Corrections offers extended family visits with specific guidelines. Eligibility. Inmates must have a record of good behavior. Those convicted of certain offenses may be excluded. Participants. The visit must include the inmate's child. Now that is crazy to think. How are you going to offer a conjugal visit? The child has to be there, and you know damn well what's going to be going on during that conjugal. I mean, that's weird to me. Accompanied by the child's other parent, legal guardian, or one of the inmate's parents. Accommodations. Units are designed to resemble home settings, featuring amenities like 2 bedrooms, a dining room, a living room equipped with TV, DVD player, and games. I'm about to go catch a body in Connecticut. I mean, shit. Prison seemed like a cakewalk. Regulation. Visitors must be on the inmate's approved list and adhere to facility-specific visiting schedules and policies. They make no mention of good behavior of the inmate, which, you got to know is probably a part of this, even if it's not mentioned. New York. The New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision provides family reunion program visits. Eligibility. Inmates must maintain good disciplinary records. Those serving life sentences without parole or convicted of sex offenses are typically ineligible, but that typically does not mean always. Participants, immediate family members, including spouses legally married for at least 6 months. That's interesting. Children, parents, grandparents, and foster parents, legal guardians may participate. Accommodations. Visits occur in on-site trailers or cottages equipped with household amenities to simulate a family environment. Prison is a simulation at this point. Regulations. Strict guidelines govern conduct, dress code, and items permitted during visits. Washington State Department of Corrections offers the Extended Family Visiting Program. Eligibility. All of these pretty much sound the exact same. So let's go ahead and move on to the accommodations because they're all the same for eligibility and participants. Accommodations. Visits must take place in designed units equipped with kitchen facilities and other amenities to promote a family atmosphere. Regulations. Visitors must be on the approved list and both parties must comply with established rules regarding behavior, attire, and visit logistics. So somebody had shared some information during the last video that I shared about Mule Creek Prison and the second woman who had lost her life there. And they had mentioned a woman by the name of Doris Tate. They said, Joe, you need to look up Doris Tate because she had a lot to do with conjugal visits becoming abolished. So I asked ChatGPT to tell me about Doris Tate, best known as a victim's right advocate following the murder of her daughter, Sharon Tate, was instrumental in pushing for tougher sentencing laws and victim advocacy reforms. While she is primarily associated with the victims' rights movement, she also campaigned against conjugal visits for violent offenders, particularly those convicted of heinous crimes like the Manson family. And I believe that it was this Doris Tate whose daughter was murdered by followers of Charles Manson. Now, I believe that the Charles Manson situation took place back in like the 70s. So if, Doris Tate's daughter was murdered sometime around then, and she was a large part pushing for to abolish conjugal visits. So you mean to tell me, if that's the case, that conjugal visits have not been a thing for decades. But yet in these 4 states that we just shared about, they still are. Folks, I feel like there's so much more to all of this in terms of the why and the how and why these states are really allowing for this. Yeah, I get it. We're going to help with the recidivism rate and we're going to promote good behavior. And, that one actually really does ring true to me, but I know that there's got to be more. I know that some kind of a way, somehow, there's got to be some kind of monetary kickback taking place for these states offering programs like this. Maybe specialized grants or something like that. I have no idea about that in particular, but I feel like we were able to shed a lot of light on what exactly a conjugal visit is in prison for myself to learn about, and hopefully you as well. I hope that you found this interesting and not boring. I like going down these rabbit holes and sharing and exploring and learning with all of you. And I hope that you enjoy that as well. Folks, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up here. If you enjoyed this, please leave a like and a comment letting me know exactly what you thought about all of this. And as always, until next time, enjoy life, the free world, never take a moment for granted, and make the most of every day. Peace!